Hello, I'm the Northern Vocal Coach, and welcome back to Now Then. Welcome back to another Theatre Thursday. Now today, of course, I'm joined by the lovely Beth. Ding!
Hi!
Hi! How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you very much. We're back.
We're back.
Theatre Thursday's back. We're here. We had a week off.
Life took over for a minute.
Oh, she thinks she's a star now. She's a
Too
YouTube
cool for this
sensation. She's a star. Oh, it's that Beth off Now Then. Thank you everybody who voted for today's reaction. We are going to be reacting to Rachelle Ango singing Burn from Hamilton.
Hamilton!
I love how you're acting surprised about this. Sorry. Hamilton! I have seen Hamilton. I was in New York and I had jet lag and I
So
was
lucky.
really tired, but I loved it, but I did keep going.
What did
I
you see?
slept through an Andrew Lloyd Webber show once, and so did my mother.
That's real tea.
I was like, Mum, and then I was like, that's the tea.
Anyway, Hamilton.
Hamilton. What a sensation Hamilton has been, yeah. Get out my head.
This is what we mean when we say new musical theatre. It's like innovative, fresh thinking, diverse.
Yep,
It's
absolutely.
amazing.
But it still holds true to what musical theatre is. And still has all those moments that you expect in a musical. It's sort of the new Les Mis. Like, Les Mis was that bigger sensation when it came out. As was sort of Wicked. Hamilton is like that now.
I'm so glad I listened to the soundtrack so much before I saw it live because there's so much to take in. I don't know how I would cope seeing it for the first time and having never heard the songs before because you really need time to let those lyrics sink in because there's so much happening.
So I think that was my problem because I kept telling myself, oh no, I'm not going to listen to it because I want to see it on stage first. And then I saw it on stage and I was like, what's going on? Oh my God. What's happening now? Who's singing now? Like, there's so much to take in, so I had to go back and listen to it again afterwards. So I have to see it again now and to really like appreciate every detail.
I would really recommend listening to the soundtrack just as like audio because there's so much in there. It's so clever, so well written. Lin-Manuel, what an absolute G. I loved seeing it live, but it didn't have the impact for me of the soundtrack until I watched the filmed version.
See right up to the facial expressions, the details in the performances, yeah.
That was incredibly emotional for me, and I think a lot of people who have seen that film, it's very hard hitting. And the moments in the show where in the theatre show I was like, oh that's you know, that gets my heart. It was like, oh
that gets my heart.
Oh, that gets my heart.
Takes a lot to impress Beth, apparently.
But I will say that I saw Rachelle Ango in the London production, the West End production of Hamilton, and she was fantastic.
She's amazing, and her technique is phenomenal. She is the epitome of a modern, trained musical theatre performer.
So reliable, so high quality every time.
So, shall we... I don't know what this is.
Shall we dive in?
Can you tell we've been in lockdown a bit too long?
I'm ready!
Oh, she's ready now. Right, let's do it.
I saved every letter you wrote me. From the moment I read them, I knew you were mine. You said you were mine. I thought you were mine. Do you know what Angelica said when we saw your first letter arrive? She said, be careful with that one, love. You will do what it takes to survive. You and your words blinded my senses.
what a opening. She has such control over her voice and where she wants to place her voice. Vocally, she is the epitome of a modern day musical theatre performer. She's like ticking all the right boxes for me. She has easy transitions through her chest mix and her head mix. Her airflow, she never breaks up the phrases. The airflow is continuous and just gorgeous. You see that she's going for the rounding of the lips like this, just allowing the sound to be forward. And you could just hear how easy that was for her. She didn't have to work hard to produce that sound. It was just so easy. And that comes mainly to airflow and not forcing more air the higher you go up in the voice. You saw that she went for that chest mix as she went higher in the voice, kept that core there. Just gorgeous. I would show this opening to somebody who wanted to see modern day musical theatre training.
All of that is happening underneath the character who is going through her thoughts in the moment. So it's thoughtful and it's not pushed in any way right from the start.
A sense of it being conversational but still sung. It's that sort of speech style.
I really love that this is she's singing to someone specifically. She's singing, I'm reading the letters you wrote me. So she's singing to Alexander, but he's not there. But it's the perfect example of you're always singing to someone, a part of yourself. So just because he's not on stage doesn't mean she's not singing to him, to her love for him, to her vision of him and who she thought he was.
Yeah, who he was in that letter she has in her hand.
Yeah.
That image of him.
Who she's just discovered he is.
She wasn't head straight down in the paper and she wasn't looking straight out to the audience. There was just like an in-between which allowed us in, which brought us into her. That's just like such simple direction, but really effective.
Yeah, and the way she's holding the letter at the beginning, because it's something that has always been very precious to her. In the first week that they met, he wrote her all these letters that she responded to. She kept them because they meant so much. And the words he used and the things he said to her, she thought were just for her. So she's kept that very, very important piece of paper, and I'm sure a bunch of letters, that now she's looking at with fresh eyes. Yeah, because the man who wrote them is not the man she thought he was.
And I expect she did have a lot of letters. I wonder if this is the last one she's going to burn.
I don't know. I can't see, because I think she has a bundle of them. Because if there is anything we know about Alexander Hamilton from this musical, and I think it's important to say that throughout this video, we're talking about the characters within the musical, not the historical characters, because I don't know very much about American history, but I know a lot about Hamilton. If we know anything about him from the musical, is that he writes and writes and writes. He can't, he writes it, like they say, as if he's running out of time. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't write her so many letters when they were courting. And the way she fell in love with him was through his written word. That is all the more devastating when, as we'll find out, the disgrace and the betrayal comes in a written form as well.
I wonder if being able to write back then was a common thing for a person to be able to do, or it was special. It makes it even more special that he has that ability to express himself through words.
Yeah, I think a lot of people with his start in life would have been illiterate.
Yeah.
And that he was just, from what we get from the musical, he just had an idea of where he wanted to get in life and just pursued it relentlessly.
Yeah, so being able to write was his first step in that journey of bettering himself. And now she's questioning whether everything he wrote to her was real or not because of what she's just been through.
It's so devastating, isn't it? That's what happens when you betray someone, is they question everything you've ever said or done. Because how can you be trusted after this? He uses writing as a way to move out of his circumstances, as a way to get himself out of bad situations, as a way to better ingratiate himself with people like he's done with her when he wrote to her. She's just thinking, have you just put a spell on me with your amazing words?
Yeah, with your ability.
Did it even mean anything to you? Was I just a means to an end because you needed a wife with money?
And I feel like there's something she's taking control because of her. Well, she's taking control of her narrative, like she says. But there's something about burning the piece of paper. She's turning it back on him, saying they're just words on a piece of paper, and I can burn them. Like I can take control of this, and what you say about me Like, he thinks words are immortal, and she's saying, actually, no.
That's it. It's his legacy, isn't it? It's how history sees him. The whole musical is about how history sees you. So she's taking away his opportunity for history to see him as this gallant lover that wrote her these beautiful letters, because history doesn't deserve to see those. You don't deserve to have history remember you that way, because that's not how you treated me in the long run.
Beautiful. In terms of her technique, her vowel modification, her chest mix, it's all just so perfectly placed. Even just that last you, she allows the jaw to drop and the vowels to be more open. I mean, the vowel is what carries the sound. And just the two P's that appear there that she really, what's the word? Paragraph?
Paranoid in every paragraph.
Paranoid in every paragraph. She's she's really painting the words beautifully, painting the song beautifully.
Like you said, the vowels carry the sound, they also carry the emotion. Yeah. They're absolutely weighted with emotion. Like consonants carry the intelligence, vowels carry the emotion. So she's really leaning into that just emotive, because when we're in pain we groan, when we're in love we use our voices in these different ways, so that when you sing, if you can convey that, and she's about to sing you, like she's really, it's like a keen of pain, a cry of pain, and bringing that into your song performance. And we've talked about this before, is how you can integrate emotion into your song performance without giving away control to emotion.
She still has control. She uses that cry and that yelp to add that emotional sound on top of the voice, and for us to wholly believe that she's in that state. Even the sort of like crescendo through the notes, like gives us that sense of somebody in emotional turmoil. Yeah,
in so much pain. The phrase, and it's so brilliantly written. The phrases of burn, the repeated word burn. There's so much in that word of hurt and pain and betrayal. And there is so much that happens physiologically when you're in that amount of heartbreak and pain. You are burning inside, and she is furious, and she is heartbroken and devastated. I love this song for Eliza, because all the way through the musical she is the supporting character to Alex in the way that she is his dutiful wife, and she does contest him in ways, but she's not the same she doesn't have the same combative relationship as Angelica. But in this moment she knows she doesn't deserve this at all, and she knows she deserves so much better, and she was promised so much better by him when they met. So I love the way she's taking charge of her life in this moment, and the way she's recognizing her own worth.
There's something so refreshing about the way that this song has been written, because it's come from a different sort of angle with the sort of rap background that affects like the choice of words and how they sound to an audience. There's a lot of thought into every single word and the effect that has on the audience. And in terms of the way she's singing it, she's approaching the song, it's contemporary, but it's also got that contemporary legit sound because of the way she's dropping the jaw, the way she's choosing to approach the song. It's a really unique style, because it does sound contemporary, but there is that legit underline to it.
Yeah, I think there's something about Eliza's character that's very classic. She's very understated, and about, you know, at the beginning she's girlish and she's excited and she's newly in love, but I think she's the most classic of the sisters. And there's something I read actually about this song which is so great about Eliza's character, is that she sings, you took this girl into our bed. And at no point does she sing about Mariah Reynolds. At no point does she call her a homewrecker. She recognizes that the people in power in this situation are the men. And the person who had every chance to not cheat on her was her husband. It's got nothing to do with Mariah. She has, I'm sure she has her own thoughts about it, but she's not the sort of person who would blame Mariah, because she knows women have to do what they can do to survive in this society.
In this world, yeah.
But the onus is on her husband to be true to her, like he said he would be. And that's where the betrayal comes in. So she's scanning his letters for clues as to the person he really was.
Yes,
Walk
queen.
away, hun.
So
much to talk about.
I was like beside myself. That resonance, man, that forward placement, that forward resonance was just too much. I just couldn't. That was like forwardness for days. Ping, ping, ping a ding a ding, ping a ding dong.
Ping a ding ding
dong. Like,
can we bring her back?
Can we bring her back?
Can we have you back?
Can we have your second song, please?
All the way through that, I mean, there's so much I want to pick up on, but immediately following that, I just think the breaths in between phrases, she was breathing and you could hear it. She was going,
yeah. That was actually good technique. I know it sounds like for some people that she's like gasping, but what she's actually doing is allowing her natural recoil breath to just come in, because we breathe naturally. It's as soon as air comes out, our body's natural reaction is just to bring air in. So we quickly fill the vacuum up. So when we're doing a quick song like this, or when we're dancing, we try and have a higher up natural recoil breath. So you can practice that, like when you do like, you feel the breath suddenly come back in. It's that surprise breath. That's what she was doing there, because that's all you need. You don't need to go because then you tire yourself out, you tire your voice out if you over breathe. So doing that quick surprise snatch breaths is perfect.
That's where inspiration comes from. That's what that means, is inspiration.
Yeah. Just the thought change after she went, I'm taking control of this. I'm not going to go there into that place of hurt and despair. I'm going to take control. Brought herself back to her.
Which is so new for the audience to see from Eliza, because she is so warm. She is such a warm character, and like would never take anything for herself, would never assume anything for herself. She's so lovely. And then to see this coldness come over her, because like finally she is like, do you know what? I am gonna expect something for myself, because I don't, like I said earlier, I don't deserve this.
Yeah.
So you don't get the warmth that you used to get from me, because you don't deserve that from me anymore.
Well, that's the change of the growth of that character through this song and through what he's done to her, which is heartbreaking. If we've seen the trusting, innocent Eliza to where she is now.
Yeah, it's devastating. And it's really formative for that character, and informs her journey for the rest of the the next few scenes of hers. And there's something I get from the you, that repeated word you, and it's like everything's about you, isn't it? Everything you do is in your self-interest, not the family's interest, your interest. You gave no thought to how this would affect me, our children, our lives. You didn't think twice about that. You released this pamphlet into the world that ruined my life, and you never even thought, like, you didn't think about me when you decided to cheat on me, but even now you decided to tell the world that without even thinking how that would affect me. And everything he does is for himself. Like, it makes me really cross that in the end, at the end of the musical, spoilers if you haven't seen Hamilton,
Skip 30 seconds.
Yeah, but he leaves her in bed and writes her a letter saying, I'm really sorry, I have to go and do this. It's a matter of pride. I know pride was a massive thing for men, but like, come on, you're leaving your wife and your many children, and you're going to have a duel with someone just because you have to. It's like, again, it's him, and his pride comes first, and she's so done with it. She's done with it.
And
now.
Another letter.
I know.
Not another letter. Talk to me.
Yeah. It's the dignity at the end here, isn't it? It's the just quiet dignity that she's found, that she is shielding herself with. Like, that's the tactic here, is to, how can she get through this? How can she possibly go on and live another day? How can she face the society? How can she go out of her front door and look at all the people who've read this stuff about her?
You feel a sense of she's found self-worth in this song. Like, she's found herself away from being with him as being a part of a pair. She's actually like, no, on my own, I'm okay. Yeah, self-belief, self-worth. Taking ownership of her own story. Yeah,
definitely. And I think there's a sense of her waking up to the fact that all things aren't rosy. And she's been a very privileged woman, as privileged as women could be back then. But she was a white woman. Her dad was a man of power. So she grew up very privileged and has been used to people adoring her. And the fact that the person closest to her in the world has betrayed her, I think wakes her up to the fact that this world is really harsh, and like, people aren't who you think they are. So you need to have something within yourself that you can rely on, because you can't really trust everyone. And she's such a formidable person in the musical and in real life. I know a little bit about her in history from research and from what the musical gets right. And like, she did so much in her life. She's a really impressive person.
Well, this maybe was the turning point in her life, where she's actually like, I'm going to do something that solidifies my name in the world without being always connected to Alexander Hamilton. What do I want to be known for?
But she's still devoted to him, though, as well.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, the musical certainly paints it that way. She lives for 50 years after he died. So that's a
lot of time.
That is so long, isn't it? And the musical makes a lovely point of saying, looking at her achievements at the end, and sort of she carried on his legacy in the way that she could, and was really dedicated to carrying on his work in a way. The end of the musical really, and I think Lin-Manuel Miranda really wanted to come back to her as the heart of the story and carrying on the legacy that was so important to him, to Alexander.
Just like really simple, just seeing the flame go off the stage, like the last thing we see is the flame in the lantern. That's just really good directing for us to see that flame. That's the last thing we see of her.
She disappears into the darkness with her light by her side.
That flame has been the source of so much power for her in this moment.
She's taking charge, isn't she? Yeah, girl.
Just stunning, and her technique is just flawless. And that is where West End technique is right now, at that level. I have to say that the training in London is the best in the world right now. Especially when it comes to vocal technique. The way she's approaching her voice here, I just think she's been to a few teachers in London. You can tell where someone's being trained. I can when I'm seeing someone sing, I can go, oh no, that's a bit more of a Broadway sound, that's a bit more of a West End sound. And this looks like a West End sound.
Go and watch our Elaine Page memory video from 2 weeks ago.
Oh yes, meow. Also, if you want to practice head mix, give us a meow or an ooey ooey oo. Meow meow meow.
Ooey 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 ooey.
Yo! She was chest mixing all over. But like in that straight tone when she did on that last note on the end of that. What was it? That.
Is it there?
Yo! It's like a little here, a little behind the lips. Yo! Burn! Burn! Anyway.
Yo.
Yes. So instead of thinking yo, think yo.
Yo.
Yes. Anyway, enough of that nonsense. Thank you so much for joining us for another... What are you laughing at?
Nothing.
Oh, we hope you enjoyed it. Keep singing, keep smiling. There'll be another vote for the next Theatre Thursday on the community section of the YouTube channel, so get voting. Thank you for everyone who voted. We're getting like 200, 300 votes per thing now.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. We appreciate it so much. So subscribe, follow us on Instagram, and yeah. Follow us. Follow us. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye. What?
As soon as the music starts, you're like... Okay.
Oh no!
What? You weren't ready to...
making a face. Don't laugh at my concentrating face.
No.
No!
Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. No, what? I'm not here for this today.
I thought you were going to laugh at my face, so I started
I wasn't
laughing.
looking at you. On purpose.
Just don't look at me.
No, it's going to be that thing where now the music I associate with Beth laughing and then... No, we can't be 10 takes later. No. Why?